Okay, so one of the challenges was when I said, hey, let's see if we can bring my father's voice back to life. Your first question was, okay, well, do you have any recordings of him, right? And I'm going, oh, wow, right. How do I get the recording? Okay, well, like most of us, I have, 20 years ago, I was taking, camcorder cassette tapes of family members, and that's what I had. So, like, literally the last video I had of him was like 2005. I had nothing to play it on. I had to go get a camcorder off of eBay that would actually play the tape to then try to make a voice recording in the best quality I possibly could with background noise, including music and my father and my grandmother talking, and then
he was playing with your son.
And he was playing with my son, who was a baby at the time. And then
your son?
At the time, now he's 20, So then I turned that over to Deronte, and I say, see what you can do with like not even barely 2 minutes probably of his voice. I mean, I don't think you had a good sampling enough to even. So the refinement of that. Tell me a little bit about your process and how much. I mean, I know that was a lot of work. It has been a lot of work.
Yeah. So when you think about, so there's a process, and when you think about trying to create what's called a digital voice clone, the best thing you can do, the better the voice, the better the recording, the better the end product's going to be, right? So ideally, you want to get as clean of a recording as possible.
Sure.
But of course, naturally, that's not always the case, right? And especially when you're talking about people that are deceased, because things get lost, things get shuffled around, whatever the case, right? So when you brought it to me, the first thing I thought about was, okay, it's like you were saying, it's you have to isolate the voice, but the thing is, it wasn't even isolation. It is I have to amplify the voice before I isolate it, right? So I have to go in and use different tools. It's a different AI mechanism, but there are different tools that you use to amplify the voice. So then you can turn right around and then you're going to extrapolate that voice from whatever it's up against. So there are other tools that you can use where you can literally separate the voices. Really what they are is they're signals, right? They're audio signals. So you can separate the audio signals, and that allows you to isolate the voice as cleanly as you can. So by doing that, I was able to get a fair sampling. The only problem was it wasn't a lot. So typically you want roughly about 2 minutes of clean audio. What I had to work with was probably about 45 seconds, right? So then what I did is I decided to loop it. So I looped it. I tried to manipulate the voice just a little bit. So then when I loop it gives that just. So this is what happened originally. So in the first few clips that I sent you, you wouldn't really fill in the voice. So I had to go back and try to figure out, okay, how can I give the voice more character, right? So I had to go in and manipulate the voice, modulate it up, modulate it down.
Yeah, it was kind of stilted. It sounded too AI, right?
Yeah.
And it was stilted. So then you played with it. And I mean, the work you've done since then to massage it, it's like, to make even like to provide, to have the intonation.
That's right.
And the reading. I mean, it's kind of, in a weird way, it's sometimes kind of how he talked, I mean, it is how he talked, whatever, right? I mean, that's the whole point,
Yeah.
But,
Well, no, I mean, that's a good point, because it's as you said, initially it was more monotone.
Yeah.
And that's when you say it's more AI, what you mean is it was more monotone.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so by having to go in and like I said, you change up the modulation, but then what I figured out is I would create 2 or 3 different versions of the same voice.
Yes.
So for example, if he's just talking, just the regular talking, then I will use one model. If he's reading the poem, I use another model. If he's reading a poem and there are certain inflection points in it, I might use another model. So they're all the same voice, but you have to know how to properly put them in to get the end product or the end result that you want.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.